Well, good morning and greetings and salutations to everybody out there in YouTube land. I'm your host once again, Dan Thornton. I want to thank you all for making a little time on your day for Lions Talk Live morning show, off-season edition. And you know what? I do have to let you guys know this is only going to be about a 15-20-minute show today. Unfortunately, I've got to drive about 2 hours to get to a group of showings today up in the Muskegon area. So I've got to make sure I take off a little bit early so I can get there on time and et cetera. So a couple things for you guys before we get into the bulk of today's show. Tomorrow's going to be the interactive mock draft. I'm sure it's going to have all sorts of issues. I hope you all enjoy it, but I also hope you guys understand that, hey, it's probably not going to be perfect for tomorrow, but let's have some fun with it. I'm going to reach out to the Sarge, Tony Libretto, and see if he will help with that. So I'll let you guys know, but plan on that tomorrow morning, 7 to 8 o'clock. If we go a little over 2, that's going to be fine. One other thing, if you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Trying to make a push to get to 5,800, and if you can assist with that, that'd be great. Also, if you're enjoying the video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button if you would, please. Now, a couple things I got for you guys. I just want to see what your guys' thoughts were as far as the team. We've had almost a week now since the team's end of the year loss, the NFC title game. I want to see, where do you, now that you've had about a week to just sit there and digest things, kind of take it all in, how do you feel about the team? Do you feel like they're going the right direction? Do you feel like, hey, we really got something building here for the next few years? Let me know in the comments section below and see where we go from there. All right, let's get on over. Sorry, I'm a little trying to get a few things set here. See what you guys got to say. I know it's probably a quieter morning being a Saturday. JDC, good morning all. Good morning to you too. Hopefully having a good one. Michael Green, salutations, coach and do crew. I feel pretty good about the future of the Lions. Yeah, and I'm going to guess most people do. You look at the core of the team, it's pretty dang young. It's, you've got weapons all over the board, especially on the offensive side of the ball. You have some younger developing players on the defense, maybe not quite to the extent of the offense, but I think most of us agree they're pretty good. You look at Gibbs, Laporta, St. Brown, Penei Sewell. All these guys are under 25 years old. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, obviously, you got Kirby Joseph, Ife Malafanu, Aiden Hutchinson, Jack Campbell, Liam McNeil, just to say a few. And, potentially we'll have James Houston back. So there are some pretty good, strong components there. I think we'd all agree the team just needs more on the defensive side. All right, Dennis, good morning, fam. Good morning to you, too. Hopefully having a great one. Ed, good morning, coach, and do crew. I am so lost with this year's draft. How about you guys? Help us, coach. Help us. Yeah, and that's what we're going to try to do tomorrow, Ed. We're going to try to help everybody out. It'll, at least begin the process of helping everybody maybe consider some different options. How the draft will work. We're just going to run one of the online mock simulators and just go through it. When the pick comes up at each different spot, there's going to be a multitude of choices. Here's some guys we could choose from. You choose from other people too. If somebody says, hey, this guy, I really think we should take in the first round, second round, etc., isn't on the available list. Can we look them up? I guess that too would be an option. Sometimes the simulator will throw different trade scenarios at us, and we'll go from there. So hopefully y'all have some fun with it. Michael, will the Lions draft Zach Zinter in the first round? I guess we'll see what you guys say tomorrow. I don't believe so, but then again, I haven't dived as much into it as I have in past years, just because obviously the way the season has gone with us winning until last Sunday. All right, Bergs, good morning, Dan, and the Do Crew. Good morning to you too, buddy. Hopefully you're having a great one. Bergs, future is bright. We are only going to get better via draft and free agency. Brad started cooking unfinished business. Woo! And there's the first move of the day. So I'll say this. I think you're spot on with stuff. I think we're going to continue to draft well. I mean, there's no reason to doubt against Brad Holmes at this point. He does a phenomenal job with things. It would be hard to find in the last 3 years a team that is drafted better than the Detroit Lions. If you guys can think of somebody, please, by all means, let me know. But you look at each year's draft. Now, the first year's draft, I think we had a few guys that came in, and by the end of the year, we'd all agree Amon-Ra St. Brown, paid some big dividends. Penei Sewell, arguably even at that point, one of the better tackles, let alone a right tackle in the whole league. But then as the seasons have gone on, now we're into year 3 with those guys. You see how Derek Barnes has developed, Ife Melifonwu has developed, and there's other guys for sure. But I think those are probably your core 4 out of that particular draft. 2 years ago's draft, I mean, you see how much those guys have impacted things. They've come into their own, and then obviously last year's draft class. I mean, that thing. If Broderick Martin ends up being something. If Kobe Scoresdale ends up being something, who knows about Hendon Hooker? I'm not getting into that conversation today. But if all those guys end up being something, I mean, that is just a historically all-time great NFL draft. And where we go from here, who knows? But I got to believe there's a real strong potential for us to continue to get better and better and better with the drafts. All right, Ed, remember the days when you just knew the front office needed our help with who to draft? That's probably true. Well, those days are over with Brad. I trust him. Yeah, and I know we're kind of beating a dead horse this morning, but I know just about everybody and their mother was out after Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions with that last year's draft. I mean, let's be real. Even at the start of this year, maybe like the first month or so, there were a lot of people said, man, taking a running back in the first round, that was crazy. Should have taken Carter, who's now in Philadelphia. But I don't think that's really the case anymore. I don't believe anybody. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe, how about this? The vast majority of the fan base all look back and say, hey, taking Gibbs, taking Laporta, trading back, that was absolutely the right move, and we crushed it. So I'm with you, Ed. I think you got to trust in Brad Holmes because he has shown no wrong in any of this. Jim, good morning, Dan and Duke Crew. Brad needs to go for it in free agency. Pick a defensive end, cornerback, and either a guard or defense tackle up as well. That would really free up Brad to draft best player available. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, if you could go, I know there's a lot of people on the channel the last few days have talked specifically about cornerback. That it typically does take a few years to develop. You can use Darius Slay as an example. His first year, people were calling him a bust, maybe even most of his second year. But by his third year, I mean, he became something real special. So to me, if the Lions really want to try to go after it this year, you probably can't be a Dollar General Brad Holmes. Not that some of the free agents didn't work out, but I don't think any of them paid huge dividends. None of them were, vastly superior players that made large impacts. They helped the team for sure, but they weren't, next level up, not like some of the draft class. Guard is a real possibility. I do anticipate Glasgow will be back. Whether they add beyond that, I mean, I guess who knows. And then defensive tackle. I think the problem with the defensive tackles and cornerbacks, the better they are, at least the perception, the better they are, that they're going to cost exponentially more. And I just don't know if that's Brad Holmes' modus operandi or his MO or whatever, just because in the past he hasn't done it. If he does it this year and he's breaking his normal trend, then I think that needs to be a real sign to us as a fan base that Brad Holmes and the crew, the front office, whatever, they believe this next year, this is their opportunity to really get there. Boo, good morning, Duke Crew. Unique draft position for us is confusing. Yes, it is not anywhere in the Lions' norm to be drafting in the final 4 picks of the first round. But that when you're so successful as they were this year, making it to the final 4, even the final 3, I know you're playing semantics there, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Brad Holmes does any trading up or down or whatever have you. I think there's a better opportunity. I'll throw this at you guys. I think there's a real good opportunity we trade out of the first round just because there may be some quarterbacks near the end of the first round where a team wants to go up and get that 5th-year option. Detroit would be a tantalizing target for somebody maybe in the middle second round or maybe even above that, I guess, to come on up and say, hey, we want to get this guy, leapfrog other people that might be considering taking him, but if nothing else, we want that 5th-year option on him. So that's something I think we all need to consider with our current position. JDC, The way it's going wealth-wise, I might have to move to mow the lawn next week. All right. All right. Or weather-wise, excuse me, man. I messed that one up. Yeah, it is getting warmer and warmer out there. The snow's all melting. I can't read, apparently, and apologies for that. But yeah, spring is in the air, man. What do you got? Good morning, everyone. It still burns a little because of how the games played out. Drop passes, fumbles, and Vildor. Yeah. I mean, it stinks the way it went for sure. And I can say this, man. Hopefully this is galvanizing fuel for the team to move forward. So I would say this: there's nothing we can do to change last week. How the team reacts to the coaching staff, front office to move forward. I think that's the big tell there. All right, Brent. Good morning, coach and do crew. I don't care how much money Brad spends, but I would like a true number one veteran cornerback. Yeah, and I get it. The question I've got, Brent, and maybe somebody gets cut we're not anticipating, but looking over the free agent list that's at least currently out there, does anybody see a real top flight cornerback? I guess that's where I guess we'll have to split some hairs. Maybe you trade for one. Man, I don't know. There's some good ones out there. Don't get me wrong. I think there's some nice ones that would be legitimate upgrades. I don't think there's going to be the one that they're out there that's going to be helped shut down Justin Jefferson or someone like that. Yeah, maybe I'm not judging him fairly. I think there's some real good number two cornerback positions. And I guess we'll have to see where the Lions go. I know we've talked about bringing back Emmanuel Mosley. I just would be real careful with it from a value proposition. The guy's been out 2 straight years. The knee injuries, I mean, you can recover from an ACL no problem nowadays, given enough time. But the fact he's had that injury history makes me at least worried that potentially you're getting somebody that is unreliable. I guess I'll just go with that with him. Maybe he's pretty dang good. There's just a lot of questions around him. All right, Robert, good morning. Dan and crew, good morning to you too. Hopefully you have a great one. Joseph, good morning. Good morning to you. Dennis, get them sales. Yeah, and I'll have to be driving for a while today, recharging the whole shebang-a-bang. It's going to be a long day for me, man. Big M, looking forward to the mock draft tomorrow. Drive safe. I will do just that, and I hope you guys do enjoy it. When it's done, go ahead and feel free to hit me with some feedback. What can we do better, different? I mean, we're all going to be learning from it. I know that big time because I will have not done this before, live at least, as far as a mock draft for everybody to kind of jump in. So it'll be interesting to see how everybody reacts and how well we can pull this out. But I do think it'll be fun. Trey, good morning, fam. Good morning to you too. Hopefully you have a great one. Dennis, going to be fun. Yeah, it's going to be real fun. Doug, we have a dozen or so coaches and trainers with our team still. I believe I've been looking at it a bit and wondering some coaches, DBs, Scott Jr., assistant DL coach, what will we lose or upgrade? As far as what we'll lose, man, I don't know. I know there's a couple of guys on staff still interviewing for other positions. I know two of our offensive staff were interviewing for offensive quality control coordinators. A couple of them for offensive coordinator, although I think those spots have been since filled. And as far as who else you might potentially add, man, if you haven't added them, I'm guessing within the next week or so, Doug, they're probably not or those positions probably aren't being replaced, at least for the upcoming season. JDC, like James Brown saying, quote, I feel good about the Lions. Yeah, it'd be hard to bet against them at this point. Although, as we'll get into throughout the offseason, this division, the NFC North, is looking pretty tough. All right, Ed, I'm looking forward to hearing others' opinions on who we should take in the draft and free agents. Yeah, we'll try to get into tomorrow with the draft, and then maybe another day this week we'll handle the free agents. I kind of want to get it done today with the free agency, but work comes first. I got to pay those bills. Big M, I think the Lions are in a window, and Brad needs to open that window completely by being aggressive. Need to go for it now. Yeah, exclamation point. Big M, I would agree. I think you've got roughly a 2 to 4 year window, and beyond that, it's just hard to predict. But I would say that, yeah, if in the next 2 to 4 years, you got to add the right parts. You do that, yeah, this team can make a real shot and run at a Super Bowl or two, maybe. Bergs, guys, please let other Lions fans know about the channel. Dan's one of the best Lions needs channel out there, and we need to get him to 10K subs. So let's help him out. He deserves it. His breaking news is spot. Hey, thanks for that, Bergs. Thanks very much for that. Yeah, if you guys enjoy the channel, if you want to tell your mama or your daddy or whoever about it, go ahead, man. Have your friends all join. I'd be okay with that. Bergs, yeah, spot on. I knew where you were going with that, man. Doug, and thanks again, Bergs. Thank you very much. Doug, we are going to start spending money again, and let's see if Brad does it as well, keeping talent as well as securing new talent. Yeah, and he's going to be in a tough spot, I think, the next few years, having to juggle the great drafts that we had with balancing the checkbook. And yeah, it's going to be tough. And starting this offseason, I think you're going to have to start paying a lot of guys, and that will affect the salary cap. Hookadoo, good morning, Coach and Duke crew. How did your team do yesterday? We lost by 4, and I don't really want to bring this up too much, but I know as Lions fans, we always talk about sometimes not letting the game go into officials' hands. So I'll put it this way. Right before I went on air, I'm filling out the ratings for these particular officials and sending some stuff to the lead assigner of the officials. We've got a 10-point lead with 3 minutes to go. And in the next minute, there are 4, what I would say, very, very odd calls, all going against us. One's a moving screen where you watch the replay. The kid isn't moving. Another one is where one of the defenders from the other team bumps our kid with the ball, displacing the ball, so knocks the ball out of their hand. That's not called as a foul. And then there's another one where I was just trying to call a timeout. You can see me doing this. There are 2 minutes and 13 seconds left. The official in the top of the triangle, top of the screen, is holding his hand up, ready to issue the timeout. The other official closest to me, like literally 3 feet from me, says, I didn't hear him yell it. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. It's high school sports, and sometimes the ball and the call doesn't always go your way. Mr. Nico, good morning, Coach and crew. Since we have higher draft picks, do we make a bigger splash in free agency? Should we stay quiet and save some money to re-sign guys? Mr. Nico, I think that's going to be the real question for Brad Holmes, not just this offseason, but the next few. You're not going to be able to keep everybody. You're not going to be able to pay everybody. You're not going to be able to sign all the free agents you want just because there are limited budget constraints. So unless a bunch of the guys come on in and say, we've talked about with Goff or Penei Sewell or St. Brown, agree to shave a little bit off their own income to help retain other people. I mean, it's the nature of your success through, drafting very well. You're going to not be able to keep everybody. But I hope they can re-sign the core players. Uncle Buzz, who knows what the script writers have in mind? That's how I'm feeling after our game last night. But hey, still 12-2 on the year. I'm proud of the kiddos. But anyways, as far as the Lions, I'm a firm believer you control your own fate, and the Lions are going to have to do just that. They've done a lot of great things in the last 3 years, and going forward, I don't anticipate that's going to change. I don't think all of a sudden Brad Holmes is going to stop drafting well. I don't think the team's going to fall apart at the seams. I don't think any of that stuff's in place. But to your point, what happens that you can't control, that's what we're going to all have to guess on. Rich, feeling pretty good about our Lions now that we are retaining the coordinators. Yeah, at least next year. I'll say this. You guys heard me talk about on the show before. I do believe it's a real advantage for us going down the stretch next year, especially the first half or so of the season. I just think, man, you're going to be able to go out there and execute at a higher level early in the season versus teams that have new coordinators, whatever. They're still trying to get everybody on the same page. So absolutely, huge advantage for the team. All right, Brent, I'm 64 and never been more optimistic about the future of the Lions. Thank you so much, Sheila, Chris, Brad, and Dan. This team was finally built the right way. Yes, it was, and I think you have every right to feel that way, Brent. Joseph Jackson Powers Johnson, C from Oregon. Yeah, he's pretty centered from Oregon. Yeah, he's pretty legit, and I think you're spot on with that. Brother Ken, good news. We've got a very young team. Challenging news. Everyone else in the North is getting better. And if the Bears nail that draft, look out. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. It's going to be a battle probably the next several years just to win the North. You've got as good a chance as anybody, but it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Mile marker, good morning. Last Sunday seems a long time ago now. Good. Yeah. Put it in the rear view mirror, learn from it, and move on in advance. A couple more here, and then unfortunately, like I said, I got to go early, guys. Doug, how much will we depend on the free agent period, resigning hours included, or the drafts? And can you see trading anyone from our team? Whew, I guess I'll put it this way: if the price is right, somebody's going to make you an offer you can't refuse for one of your players, then you might probably see there. I'd say there's a strong possibility you see Brad Holmes take the trade. Now, who's going to step up and offer something we can't refuse? I guess that's the unknown quantity. All right, I am worried about the offensive line. Then other positions, I think that they will be fixed during free agency. They could be, yeah, free agency or the draft. You guys heard me talk about it. I do believe they're going to have to address it. All right, Mr. Nico, when will we see Eminem in a jersey on the field? He is ready to play at least in a commercial. That's actually not some bad marketing ideas right there. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some stuff next year. All right, 2 or 3 more. Then, unfortunately, guys, I got to go. Jason, greetings and salutations all. We were only a few plays away from being there. The Michigan game was the consolation. Yeah, it was. But I will say this, Jason. Think about what Michigan went through just the season prior and how much that probably motivated them and fueled them into the last game. So, last season for them. So I do believe there could be a very similar effect on the Lions this year. Joseph Amara and Sewell are superstars. They are 100%. John King still mad about last week and hard to get there to lose like that. Glad Glenn and Johnson are coming back. Window will close before you know it. Note to Brad, get a kicker. Yeah, they're going to have to address that. Polar Bear, I saw an article that says Glasgow was worth $11 million. Ouch. I've heard some numbers around there. Whether or not you're going to pay him that much, whether or not you could afford to pay him that much. I guess that's the great unknown. Doug, what do you got? Chicago picks 1 and 9. If they trade Fields, they could be the next Lions if the coaching is there. Yeah, that and you have to draft the right guys. So, all right, guys, I don't want to do this, but I've got to get going. I try to give you a couple extra minutes. Super Bowl or bust. Sorry I couldn't get through nearly everybody today. I do apologize, but again, with me having to drive so far today that I just got to take off a little early. Tomorrow morning, like I said, we'll have the interactive mock draft. We're going to try to get the Sarge, Tony the Brother to help. Be patient as we go through it tomorrow, just because it's going to be a learning opportunity for all of us going through it. So let's have some fun with it and keep trying to develop it over the off season. Take care. Enjoy your days. If you haven't yet subscribed to Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so. Also, if you would be so kind, hit the thumbs up button. Whatever it may be, we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.